Affairs Office. I think your title might be director, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, or we can just tell the commissioner you need to get an upgrade. But she was so gracious. She was so gracious enough to take some time to come give an overview of kind of where things landed after our most recent General Assembly session. I know, Josie, for your benefit, that this committee was aware of a couple bills that are impacting the Office of Human Rights, particularly things related to the crisis. But it's always good to kind of hear that big picture. And then it's great to always hear kind of the numbers and the amount of bills and all the work that goes on behind the scenes. So again, thank you so much for joining us, and our attention is all yours.
Thank you. So I am director, but I'm director of legislative affairs.
Okay.
So close. We don't need to go to the commissioner begging for a promotion yet.
Cool.
Tanika, I did send you a copy of my slide deck just a minute ago because I cannot share my screen for some reason on Teams right now.
Share now.
I think they'll give you permission.
Yeah. Fix it, and then you'll be able to share.
Let me see.
Not yet.
Okay.
Okay, you should be able to share now.
Let's see. It's still not letting me, and I think it's something wrong on my end. This happened actually last week as well on another meeting.
No problem. I'll forward that to Mary Claire right now.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it, y'all.
Yeah.
I apologize.
It's okay.
You can do it. I have it.
Oh, you do have it. I see you, Delisa.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, great. Well, hello, everyone. I know I've been here once or twice before to tell you all about legislative session, but this is going to be an update of what happened during this past legislative session, the 2024 General Assembly. It was a long session year this year. So let me see. I can't see. Oh, okay.
Hold on, make it work.
Keep it on.
Okay, there we go.
There we go. And if you could just go back one slide for me.
There.
There we go. All right. So it was a very busy session, a much busier session than usual. The budget was agreed to and passed, but we are awaiting action during next week's veto session, which I'll talk a little bit more at the end of this. We tracked 150 pieces of legislation as a policy and legislative affairs team, and that included approximately 50 different lead bills. So those were bills that we kind of had to shepherd through the process or talk to legislators about, and different bills that we may have had to write legislative action summaries on to provide to the administration and recommend positions on those bills. The legislature did adjourn sine die on March 9th. Again, like I said, it was a 60-day session. It was a long session because it's a budget year. And the governor had until Monday to act on legislation passed within 7 days of adjournment. I wish I could provide you an exhaustive list of everything that was vetoed or amended in some way, but he actually has now vetoed more legislation, I believe, than even Terry McAuliffe did during his entire term as governor. So it's quite a few, and you can go to this link right here if you do have any more questions, and I'll make sure you all have that. It's just his press releases, and it shows kind of each day where he vetoed some bills, he proposed amendments to others, and signed others into law. So we do know now what he has signed into law and what he has amended, because as of midnight, Monday night, if he did not take any action on it, it went ahead and is now going to be law as of July 1. So next slide, please. So this is just kind of a general overview of the more major bills that we were tracking and keeping an eye on and talking to folks about. So first you have the agency and administration bills. So those are bills that either we were in charge of or the administration had put forward and had someone in the General Assembly carry for them. The first, HB 601 and SB 543, that changes the definition of emergency services to include mobile crisis, which allows for commercial insurance coverage of those mobile crisis services. It's a big deal, and we're very excited for it. HB 823 and SB 497, that bill defines the availability criteria for alternative transportation at 6 hours. We were finding that magistrates currently do not have a code-defined window of availability for considering alternative transportations when someone is under a TDO, and we are hopeful that this will reduce that burden on law enforcement. HB 1242 and SB 546 were bills to allow for someone being evaluated for a TDO to have a family member present during that time unless it was unsafe or is unsafe or interferes with patient care, or if the individual objects. HB 1336 and SB 568, those permit the use of remote dispensing systems in DBHDS licensed residential crisis programs. We are very hopeful that will reduce the number of emergency room visits by folks that might be in crisis and may need a certain type of medication that we currently are not allowed to keep on site, and will allow CSUs and CRCs to be utilized to their full extent. Next, we have some other bills of interest that weren't bills we put forward, but we're tracking and keeping an eye on. So HB 888 and SB 176, those are bills that require a work group and specifically say that someone exhibiting the symptoms of a neurocognitive disorder or a neurodevelopmental disability, those symptoms cannot be used to determine whether that person is placed under a temporary detention order or placed under involuntary commitment. HB 1269 and SB 626, they both remove some convictions as barriers to employment with the system after 4 years. So if someone has a conviction of something like, I believe, assault and battery, after 4 years from the conviction date, they are allowed now to work in a DBHDS licensed facility if the facility is a substance use or provider is a substance use provider or an adult mental health provider. We did not, or no one made the code changes to this under the kids code section or the IDDD code section. And I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has about that if you have them. We also had SB 34, which authorizes hospitals with a psychiatric emergency department, specifically located in the city of Hampton, to employ certain trained individuals to perform emergency evaluations to determine whether a person meets the criteria for temporary detention. This bill has a sunset date, which means it's only in effect through July 1 of 2026. So it's definitely intended more to be kind of like a pilot program. Next slide, please.
Josie, can I ask a question about one of those?
Sure.
The first one, the one you said, so the assault and battery,
Mhm.
That's now after 4 years, those people can be employed, right, at a licensed facility?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if they took into consideration that a lot of people who are under domestic violence get reduced down to assault and batteries.
I am not sure. I believe with assault and battery, it was misdemeanor charges. So I'm happy to send you more information on that though, or share it with Tanika and other staff to get to you all.
Yeah, I work in the field and a lot of them are amended down with plea bargains from assaulting a family member to a simple assault.
Okay.
Okay.
That's very helpful. I appreciate you sharing that information for sure. Okay, so our next steps for all of this work. So the General Assembly will meet on April 17th for what's called veto session. What happens during veto session is they vote on any amendments the governor has sent back to them on legislation that they passed. And they also can vote to override a governor's veto during this time as well. It's typically 1 day. I don't see why it would be more than that this year, but that's just kind of what happens. In order for a veto to be overridden, though, it has to receive 2/3 majority vote, not a simple majority. So certainly anything split down party lines will not have an overridden veto. Just something good to keep in mind. We are also awaiting final action from the governor, from the General Assembly on budget. So the governor did earlier this week present his amendments to the budget, and there were quite a few of them. So they have a lot to consider during veto session and moving forward. And the goal is to have a state budget by the end of the fiscal year, which ends on June 30th. Our team will actually be tracking legislative and budget work groups, studies, and reports, which you may hear some more things about at some point later on. We have a few of those this year as well. My team will also be doing legislator outreach. We like to follow up with those folks just throughout the year to keep those relationships nice and strong and make sure there are no surprises to us or to them during the next General Assembly session. We will also be beginning the legislative proposal process, which is how we solicit proposals to submit to the governor and the administration. And we will definitely keep you all posted on those as well. And finally, just getting ready for the next year. They've been out for about a month now, and so it's time to start planning for the next one. But that was all I had, and I'm happy to take any questions that anyone has.
Josie, I think Senate Bill 569, the one that had to do with revising or adding to the definition of who can provide seclusion and restraint to help with the CRCs and the CSUs.
Yes.
I think, well, I know that one had a work group assigned to it. And so I just wanted the committee to be aware that that's one of them, and our office will play a big role in that. Has there been any other movement other than kind of getting that together?
No, we're just in the very early
yeah.
gathering folks stage. There is a proposed amendment to that one as well. So
Okay.
we'll wait to start taking any final action on it after the General Assembly has a chance to vote on it next week.
Good. And I know that we had gotten the date pushed back for the report, so that was good. That gives us a little bit more time for that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, there are quite a few, like I said, that have amendments to them. SB 34 is another one of them that has an amendment to it. So we have to wait until Wednesday to see what the General Assembly does with those governor's amendments. And yeah, that's my contact information there. Y'all should feel free to reach out if you do have any questions. I'm happy to answer them to the best of my ability and appreciate all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Josie.
Thank you, Josie.
You're gonna send a copy of the slides out?
Yes, we
That's
can
all.
provide that. It'll also be in the draft minutes, but yep, we can forward that to you all for sure.
Thanks. That's a great presentation.
Thank you.
Looks like we're at the roundtable, so you want us to take a break and get ready to launch and